Did you listen to the hot breakfast this morning? Here's what you missed.
Letto, you at Jacaranda.
Yeah.
That crowd, man.
Brought memories that you will think the election is the next Monday. I mean, it's only in Kenya where there is no break in politics.
Yeah.
And it appears Raila has now staged a sustained, onslaught against the Kenya Kwanza government. Because you see, he's fashioned his rallies, anti-government rallies, that every week he travels out of the country, comes over the weekend and achafua kabisa.
That's what we were saying earlier. I don't need to protect TV to let them just protect mpaka Saturday.
So the guy is now in Abuja, Nigeria, and then he goes to Senegal. Then from Senegal, I don't know, he goes to where, and then comes back to Nairobi, and then does Kibra rallies, and then so it's like another campaign.
Have the Kibra rallies been confirmed?
Yeah, absolutely.
When?
This Sunday.
This Sunday.
Then next Sunday is Machakos.
Even Skidero was asking, I'm not sure how true it is, but I saw on Twitter, why isn't he going to areas where other communities live? He's just concentrating in areas where there are a lot of Luopians and Luos.
But he would be in Machakos the week after this Sunday, and so we don't expect that Luopians are in Machakos.
We are everywhere.
They are there, but not in their numbers. But Nick, President Ruto said he wants opposition, strong opposition, and he's getting it.
Be
and
careful what you wish for.
He will get it.
Yeah.
And just like we were speaking, each and every function, kila function Ruto akiwa nayo sahi, he has to be answering to what Raila Odinga said. And I want to assure you that on Sunday, something else will come up.
Yeah.
The last Sunday at Jacaranda, he claimed that Chemutai and the two of his commissioners went to his house seeking a bribe. That's a new information. We didn't have that. We didn't know that. And like we said last week, there's the truth of William Ruto and Chemutai. There's the truth of Raila Odinga and Azimio. And then there's now the universal truth. That's where we're trying to see and look actually what really happened, what transpired during that time. And it will be very difficult to know. But what Raila is doing right now is just to muddy the waters. And he will muddy the waters until we'll all be confused. What really is the truth? Because for a long time we've been fed on the truth of Chemutai, that there was this function that happened, and the Security Council came and they wanted us to do a BCD. Now we are starting to hear that, they went to Raila's home. Next time we'll hear they went to Tuju's home. And all that, it will be muddied, and we will never know where the truth really is.
Letto, what is Baba's end game? What is the end game for all this?
According to his plans that we've seen, or he said in Jacaranda, is that he's going to go across the country. From Kibra goes to Machakos, from Machakos goes to Western, from Western he goes around. The last rally is planning in Lodwar, Turkana, and then now comes back to Nairobi for the grand finale of the countrywide consultation and pushbacks. So I think also Raila's endgame could be to place his name up high there. He could be working to the advantage of some of his key allies, the likes of Kalonzo, the likes of who people view that should he not run in 2027, then there is somebody at least we've laid ground for. And Raila has mastered the politics that you don't stay away from your supporters, whether you lose or you've won, so you must always be there. Equally to the president now is also taking that same direction. People might view these Sundays as Thanksgivings. To me, they are not Thanksgiving. It is just keeping your bases in check and keeping your support bases together. So more of the same script being executed differently.
Some critics say what Baba is looking for is nusum kate, or handshake. Could it be at the end of the day, or is it just going to continue to be a thorn in the side of President Ruto's government?
I like the last statement. It's going to be a thorn in President Ruto's administration. I think it's something Raila Odinga has mastered. He keeps you engaged. And maybe that is why, anticipating that this would be the norm, said we need to create this, put it in law, the office of official opposition, have it entrenched in law and in a way to keep them busy. But I like what Stephen Letto has said in terms of what we are witnessing. While Ruto and his gang go to church every Sunday in what is seen to be interdenominational Thanksgiving services, the other side of the opposition will also be holding their meetings every Sunday, which also are anti-government rallies to also criticize the government and insist that, we legitimately won this election and this victory was stolen from us. So both bases are active. And remember, William Ruto, soon after the election of President Uhuru Kenyatta retired, also started his activity trying to also seek his vote. So it is just another strategic way of keeping your bases alive, because you cannot sit in a lull and say, yes, the election has been won, now let's wait and support the government. It cannot work like that. And when you look at the tactical way that also William Ruto is trying to address this matter, is telling the opposition, do your job as the opposition, check the government, check the excesses of the government, and that should be your role. And there will be no nusumkate. And we never say never. We said that last week, we said that the weeks before, that with the political class, they make very strange bedfellows. You think you have your opinion and you stick to it, but then unfortunately, they also have their interests at heart, and at the end of the day, it is less of your interest and more of what brings them together. So a handshake, we can't rule it out now. Remember, it was after the 2017 election, everything done and dusted, a repeat election has been done. Then there was March 9th, 2018. It's too soon.
There's also been stories going around that some of these rallies are being sponsored by people who are trying to evade tax. And that's why the president is saying everyone has to pay taxes. And that in turn also means there'll be no handshake. You get, because he's adamant that taxes have to be paid.
But we all know where that conversation is coming from. At least for fear of the lawsuits that may come our way. We know what they mean when they say we know who has been evading tax. Yesterday there was a briefing somewhere by a number of senators who said we know individuals who've not been paying land rates, and that the amount they've put at the tax evasion is 1.4 trillion.
Yes.
Which is literally almost like Kenya's budget. So, unless they had, we go to KRA and get those documents to verify that, hey, these are individuals that have been evading tax. I think it's also just politics. And you see, mostly, my opinion in terms of that statement is it's more of a fight that is in the central part of the country. The fact that President Uhuru Kenyatta has retired, the jostling for that top position on who is the leader of central Kenya is what is also, fueling this discussion on tax evasion and whatnot.
And I think it's a narrative that UDA and Kenya Kwanza government wants is to stick. They want to blame whatever is happening, not on Raila Odinga, but on President Uhuru Kenyatta. They want to blame him for the demonstrations or the rallies that Raila Odinga is doing, because they are claiming that he is the one sponsoring the rallies. And the rallies, one of the main messages that have come from those rallies is that taxes are too high and Kenyans should resist paying the taxes. And so what they are saying is that just informs what they are claiming, that Uhuru Kenyatta has, and the family, in quotes, has been evading to pay taxes and pay land rates. And so it's just a way of making sure that they continue not paying the taxes. And President William Ruto even yesterday spoke and said, you will do everything you want to do, but you have to pay taxes. You have to pay the taxes. But I like what Letto said again, is that, we are focusing so much on Raila Odinga and the rallies he's doing. But we are forgetting that William Ruto is doing rallies each and every weekend all over the country, in the name of prayers. Prayers there is just 1 hour, 1.5 hours, and the rest is from MCA to MP to senator to the president, all talking, and they are there from MCA or UDA to deputy president to the president. They are all there in those prayer stroke rallies that they hold. Yeah. And so it's just, you will be foolhardy. It will be foolhardy to blame Raila for engaging and doing in politics, and yet President William Ruto is doing the same thing over and over and over. And this is something that he started in 2018, soon after the handshake. rallies each and every Sunday, Saturday, Sunday in churches, and so he will be wrong. It will be wrong for him to accuse Raila of engaging in politics soon after elections, and yet he himself is doing that the same thing each and every Sunday.
Yeah, and Letto and Kenyans, you would think they'll be sick and tired of all this politicking. 6 months after the general election, look at the crowds in Jacaranda. You saw for yourself. It's madness.
Yeah. That's point two things. Number one, it brings to the reality the state of the country's employment. Unemployment. Yeah, that totally shows you that a lot of people are still unemployed, and they find that this politics is either a chance for them to be a little bit busy or a venue to get something for the day. And number two, for the Jacaranda, Raila Odinga and the city politics is one and the same thing. You saw Kamukunji how it was, Jacaranda how it was, Kibra how it was. That is why always for Raila, Nairobi is his political thermometer. This is where Raila engages his, peak of campaigns and politics before now spreading it across the country. You wonder why does he have to do like 5 rallies in Nairobi first before getting out to Machakos? That tells you this is his, his political nerve center, where he builds the momentum of his agenda before now, taking it out there. And so, Kenyans and politics also, you'll say even during the campaigns, Kenyans love politics, and you'll find that a lot of them are enjoying what is happening right now. They like the exchanges. They like when political leaders verbally fight. That is a Kenyan for you.
Now that you've mentioned the Kenyans like that kind of environment, there's an MCA who was arrested yesterday.
Yes, the Korogosho.
Yes. Yeah. These events open up to a lot of people speaking uncontrollably and almost sounding insightful.
Unfortunately, when political temperatures hit that fever pitch, and during that period of that excitement, when you feel like you're really defending your party leader, you get caught in it. And later that evening, there was a press conference by a number of those MCAs. Well, half of what was said cannot go on air because it was borderline purely head speech. But looking out to see what will happen now following the arrest, because remember, one thing we said about NCIC is it's literally a toothless commission. Essentially, no case they've prosecuted has ever gone to a stage where action has been taken on individuals. One of the things they also lack is what evidence are they bringing. When you bring a recording, they would say it is also doctored. So those are also the issues that are there. But the tempo that has been set in Nairobi, this Sunday is Kibra. Then now it will be devolved to Machakos, Kakamega, Kisumu. When you look at the crowds that have built up in the last 2 rallies that have happened in Jacaranda and Kamkunji, that sets the excitement for now the next town. So by the time they will be landing in Machakos, they will already have built momentum, and that is what you need to do. Keep the government busy for the next 2 years.
And when Baba lost, people thought that now that he's done.
Deflated.
He's now deflated.
He was deflated for a bit for the first few weeks.
But now that is Baba. Baba is like a snake. When the old skin gets old, he sheds it off and comes back as a brand new.
Yeah.
And he's managed again to do that. And he will engage this government. He will keep the government very, very busy, and the youths are there. Even if Letto had some, he has money, but if he had some few more coins,
small money,
and wanted to go to Kilgoris and do a rally, he will get the people. The people are there, and so it's just about the mobilization and the message you are selling. If you get those two very right, President Ruto has decided to go with the churches, and it's working for him. Each and every Sunday, he fills a stadium. And it's not one church, it's not Catholic Church or SDA. They are all coming together and saying it's interdenominational prayer. And he feels that rally, and they will preach to the masses and, sell his message of hope and Kenya Kwanzaness and everything that comes with it. And so it's just about mobilization and a few coins here and there.
If it was President Kibaki, and a lot of people have been saying this on social media, he would just ignore him, Letto. He would ignore him. But President Ruto, every time Raila says something, boom, immediately he responds.
Yeah, and I think the president is falling for Raila. Because the best thing was to ignore completely and work. But you see what Raila is managing to do is to pull the government into his line of talk and line of conversation. And that is why Chemutai says there will be a new message over the next Sunday, and they will the president and his team will look for an opportunity to answer. And with that, you give Raila a lot of credit and a lot of work to continue looking for new angles of his speeches. So I think the government is falling for that trap. And if you saw how the president also reacted yesterday to he reacted to this issue of Chebukati going to allegedly to Raila's house, then the president appears to be also picking battles that don't belong to him, because he shouldn't have gone to defend Chebukati. Let Chebukati defend himself, whether he went there or not, and the president to stick to. So I think he's also falling for the Raila, and I think it is the pressure that comes along with all this. By the time that message comes out, the pressure that comes with these Raila rallies going forward also will be, because the government, like Chemutai has said, and Obuya, is that Raila wants to keep them very, very busy. And it appears this matter they are going to be busier, because he looks like he's now organized. Every Sunday he must go to rallies. His rallies are gaining traction every Sunday. So I think he's also trying to rebrand. I don't know how this feels with his allies of the Wiper team, the NA Kenya, because there is also a feeling that should he continue this way, then his supporters will demand that Baba the Sixth
again. Exactly.
Baba is too
to retire. And actually, when you see what is happening, the expectation from the other side was that with this loss, that Raila Odinga would retire, and now go back, like they say, Bondo. Mm-hmm. But now he is back in the capital, and he is pitched tent in the capital for the last 2 weeks. Now the third week running, and then going down to the other counties.
In fact, Nairobi is the list of the places he appears. Today is in Nairobi, tomorrow is in Abuja, in Senegal, South Africa. So Nairobi is the weekend location.
Anytime he goes out, he comes back younger.
That is actually true. So the expectation was that he would go into retirement, but he's not going into retirement. And he's come back, I think, fired up. And when you saw him speak first in Kamkunji, you thought, okay, he's out. Then on Jacaranda, when you look at even his demeanor, he is back. He's hitting the road. It looks like we are in 2021 and hitting the road again for campaigns. So they're in for a rough patch. And I think the president should have allowed, on Sunday they had agreed that the people that will be responding to Azimio leader Raila Odinga would be Ndindi Nyoro, Kimani Ichung'wah, and the other elk, yes. Gachagua also a little bit distant himself a little bit, because Gachagua's war is not really with Raila Odinga.
No,
his war is with the retired president Uhuru Kenyatta. Raila Odinga is there as just a casualty of something that is deeper. And I think one day is a story that even as political reporters, whether we'll be reporters or wherever we'll be, I think it's one thing that we need to look at. What happened? What was that straw that broke the camel's back in terms of the relationship between current President William Ruto, his former brother, retired President Uhuru Kenyatta, and how Raila came in between and was caught, became that stepchild that now everyone is hating.